Welcome back to News Conference. Joining us now, longtime Democratic political consultant Bill Carrick, who has worked for numerous candidates throughout the nation and here in California, including Dianne Feinstein, for how many years?
Since 1989.
Bill, thanks for joining us, first of all. What you heard in the last segment, how would you respond to the claim that she is out of touch with the fundamental Democratic Party base?
I don't think that's true. I mean, you have to put it in an overall context of her entire record. She's voted for 292 judicial nominations since she's been in the United States Senate, back since 1992, when she first got elected. Only twice has she voted for somebody that wasn't on the Democratic Party position on that judge. So 2 times out of 292 judges. So that's it's quite an exceptional record of if you will, party loyalty on judicial nominations.
But is she partisan, or is that part of the point? That she's one of the reasons she's popular is that she's not viewed as partisan.
She's a very independent thinker. She's very thoughtful, spends a lot of time on these nominations. If you take the Judge Southwick, which is one of the nominations that she was being criticized for, she voted against 2 gentlemen before him, Pickering and a fellow named Mike Wallace, voted against both of them for this same seat. There's been a long-term vacancy in the seat. She met with Judge Southwick personally. She decided that he, as appellate judge at the state level and as a federal district judge, where he was put on the federal district judge bench unanimously, bipartisan. No Democrat nor Republican objected to him. So she met with him. She felt comfortable that he would be a mainstream judge, and you had to fill the vacancy. This was the 3rd attempt to fill that vacancy. She voted against 2 others who she didn't feel were mainstream.
Others have said, though, that this was a betrayal, and I'm wondering what that says about your party. Is there a movement that, a leftward movement in the state, nationally, that says, we don't care about the big picture. We care about every individual vote, and we're not going to let you get away with anything that's not within our basis of our comfort level?
As a liberal Democrat, one of the things I've objected to in the Republican Party for the last 20 years is litmus test politics, taking one vote or one issue out of context and saying that defines a whole person's career. I think you have to be very careful going down that road. I think we have to look at the overall context. On issues like waterboarding, Senator Feinstein is a sponsor of Senator Kennedy's bill to outlaw it, not only from the Department of Defense, but in the CIA and any government contractor.
Why didn't she require a response from the Attorney General nominee on that?
Well, he wasn't giving a response, obviously. And the question is, what are you going to do now? This is an independent judge, been on the bench for 18 years in New York, recommended by Senator Schumer, arguably one of the most progressive Democrats in the United States Senate. He is originally the person that endorsed him to the Bush administration. If this guy was rejected, McCaskey, the next thing you're going to have is another Bush appointee. And the fear was we're going to have another Bush crony if we keep this up, and we might have a recess appointee or 10 or more significant jobs in the Justice Department, all ending up being recess appointments.
If she were up for re-election, would she have voted that way?
She's pretty independent, and over the years I've been through a lot of votes back and forth that sometimes she doesn't fine-tune the politics of these. But I think, the part of this is the folks that have brought this to the, Rick Jacobs and others who brought this to the Democratic Party e-board. I mean, they have every right to not like her votes or object to them or tell her they don't like her positions. I think going to censor her in the e-board, it seems to me to be pretty extreme.
Let's talk about political politics or the presidential campaign. Who do you pick in Iowa?
Iowa is fascinating. It's always interesting. But this time, I think we're going to see a really tight race right down to the wire. The last batch of polling out of Iowa suggests that Senator Obama's going up, Senator Edwards has come down, and Senator Clinton's stuck. And I think as a consequence, they're all virtually in the margin of error. It's going to be a very exciting race, and I think it's going to have a lot of different wrinkles and curves in it before we get to the end.
Well, let's talk about at least to Iowa, the conventional wisdom is that if she wins Iowa, Senator Clinton runs the table. If she loses Iowa, she will not get the party's nomination. And if John Edwards doesn't win, he's out.
Well, I think the math on Iowa is pretty clear. Since '76, when we got this sort of calendar going, Iowa, New Hampshire, et cetera, if you go 0-2 up front, either party, you're out. No one's ever survived.
Iowa, New Hampshire.
Yeah, go 0-2 up front, you're out. You go 2-0, you got a pretty good ticket to the nomination. John Kerry, 2-0. Either the last time, 2-0 is a pretty good ticket. 0-2, you're out of there. So the question is, are we going to have split verdicts, and what that means to the process? It'll probably prolong the process much further than people originally anticipated.
Is it your gut feeling, last question, that California is going to matter? We moved up the presidential primary to February. Is this going to be decided before February?
I think we've gotten a little bit more attention. I mean, when they've come for their when the candidates have come out here to do the fundraising, at least now they talk to the media and talk to the public a little bit. So we got a little bit more attention because we moved up. And anything was better than where we were. But the truth is, 3 people are going to have to come out of the early states as still viable in either party. The 3 candidates on the Republican side, 3 out on the Democratic side, for it to be, for California, February 5th to be meaningful.
Good luck. Bill Carrick, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Great.
We'll have some final words after this.